Hi, my name is Elise, and I am a Pasadena local who has been living here for about 2 years now. And the purpose of this video is to give you an idea of my favorite LA neighborhoods, as I have tried a few different neighborhoods out as a girly. I want to kind of highlight the unique vibes that each of them has and what makes them special, in case you are wondering about what neighborhood you want to move to or try out, as well as for those of you who may be thinking about moving to LA. I am originally from Oahu, Hawaii, but I do have family in the LA area, and so I did grow up visiting LA about once a year, twice a year. I would go shopping and visit with family, and so a lot of my friends who are transplants here in LA would call me the LA native, because I know a lot of the touristy things, or have done a lot of the touristy things, and have been to a lot of the different neighborhoods here. So I'm really excited to share with you, whether you're visiting or thinking of moving to LA, or just curious about different parts of the city. I'll share my experiences and help you find your perfect spot. So currently my home base is here in Pasadena, which I absolutely love. It is charming, historic, pretty green for LA. It also has a great art and community focus, and it's a great blend of both the urban amenities as well as the suburban calm. So being that it's about 20 minutes with no traffic from downtown LA, it has the walkability and the urban amenities, being that there's so many businesses available, but at the same time it's clean, it's a little quieter. When you open the windows, you can hear the birds chirp in the mornings, so it has that nice mix. I also feel like in some ways it feels more Californian, in the sense that it has more of that nature immersion or aspect of things, because although I love downtown LA, it definitely is like very, very urban, to the point where it almost can feel like New York a little bit. So I really love the Old Town area specifically. It's super charming and super cute, and I'm recording this video in 2025, the summer of 2025. And since COVID, really, I would say Old Town in Pasadena has really started to become more of that like area for weekends. And yeah, I think that downtown LA used to really have a lot of nightlife and a lot of opportunities. And I do think that Arts District kind of still has that going on. But I think that a lot of like the kind of like clubbing or going out with like groups happens now in Old Town or in West Hollywood. So yeah, I just love Old Town areas. I mean, I also used to love Old Town Scottsdale when I went to Arizona State, and when I went to ASU, I used to just love the Old Town feel. I think it's super cute. I think it's also funny that, yeah, Gilded Age is about to, the new season of Gilded Age, it's about to come out, and I'm really excited for that. And I love Cynthia Nixon, and I'm excited to see what happens, being that the season 2 ending was as it was. And I think like the very first like pilot episode of Gilded Age is called Never the New. And so I think it's interesting that I'm kind of always drawn, or not always, but frequently drawn to these areas that are old town or old Pasadena. And so it's just really quaint and charming, like I mentioned. I love the historic buildings and architecture, and so that's always just been something that I've really enjoyed. Um, and yeah, like I said, there's a lot of the really cute shops and restaurants, both in the Old Town district, the Playhouse district, and in the Lake Avenue district. Lake is a little more um, clean and residential than Old Town is. And that, I think, is one area in Pasadena that I would potentially want to try living in if I was to ever move within this city. Um, Obviously, there's also the Rose Bowl, which is a lot of fun, even if you go there just for a stroll. And I have been working on editing my different vlogs and saw that I have a Rose Bowl like walk vlog that I recorded, and so I'm excited to work on that and share that with you all. And then yeah, I also really love the Huntington Museum. I've already shared a vlog from the Huntington, and you can see that it's one of my favorite places. I, living in Pasadena, had a membership there, and it was just one of the best places for me to go to relax, to rejuvenate, but also to immerse myself in nature, being that there's so many different botanical gardens there. Also, if I wanted to get inspiration for art, that was a great place for me to go. And it is in the San Marino area, which is just like 2.5 miles from Old Pasadena. Another thing that I wanted to mention was one of my favorite coffee shops. Well, yeah, I'm like, there's two. So I love Tepito Coffee, which is kind of linked to Homeboy Industries, if you know of it. They are a Los Angeles based like organization that works on ending ending recidivism for those involved in organized crime and those who have been imprisoned as a result. And so really helping them to reintegrate into society, to be employed, and eventually even to start their own businesses. And so I love to support that, and that was like my go-to coffee shop for the longest time, as it is also in Vroman's bookstore. So if you like to grab a coffee and walk around and look at books, then that's a great option. My other fave is Homebrewed, which is a Filipino coffee shop. And if you're looking for really, really great like craft drinks, I think that is a great spot to check out. Last I had the banana matcha, which was so good. But I've also really loved their ube white chocolate. Or ube magnet. Just so many of their drinks are so good. I think also that was where I discovered like the Filipino, which is kind of like an Americano, but instead of water, they use coconut water, and it's so good. And I sometimes make it here at home for myself now too. Also a super cute boutique. I shared Vroman's, which is like my favorite little bookstore, but when it comes to shopping, I love to go to Old Town and just walk around and check out the different stores. I would say that it is a bit more corporate than it was like when I first said I wanted to move to Pasadena when I was like 10 or 12 years old and came to see the Rose Bowl parade. I feel like if you're looking for those kind of boutiques now, honestly, the areas to go to are like Highland Park and Chinatown. But I will say that I love going to Vuori and they have a location here in Old Town, and they're a California founded company, and so I like their quality, and I like the new kind of like athleisure styles that they release. Okay, so who might like living or spending time in Pasadena? I would say that this is great for those who are seeking charm and a small town feel away from the central city bustle, or anyone who appreciates history and green spaces. Another thing that I just want to mention before I move on is that in recent years, being maybe like the last decade or so, they did change the train route, and so now and they did do some transit oriented development within Pasadena, and so if you do enjoy going to downtown LA and enjoy catching the train when you do so, or walking to a train station, Pasadena is also a great option for that reason. Also, when my uncle would go to work downtown, he would catch the train once a week and would park at like a park and ride here in Pasadena as well. So that's another thing to consider even if you work downtown as well. So the next neighborhood that I want to talk about is DTLA, downtown Los Angeles, which is always going to be on my heart and always somewhere that I absolutely love. I stayed in DTLA Fashion District area, Broadway and 9th in the summer of 2022. And that was actually a very interesting time to be there because I was watching the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, and I was watching it like a hawk. I was very engrossed in it, and so obviously I would see Broadway and 9th referred to often, and the Eastern Continental Building and the footage from there. So it was just like a really interesting time for me to be there, being that I have like a policy background in that sort of domestic violence space. So I think that that is something to consider, honestly, especially for the girlies. I will say that like I don't feel like downtown LA is honestly the safest place for the girlies, but for some people who feel more confident, it is, you know, a great place nonetheless. I would also say that since COVID happened, the vibe is a little bit different. It's a little less safe, honestly, I would say. I think that they are working to clean up certain pockets, and they have community development or community improvement districts that have like people that go around on bicycles. Like I know Arts District has that, and Fashion District also has that, so those may be considerations if you are looking for something a little safer where there's more eyes on the street, or there's like security or help available in case you need it. The building that I was staying in had security, and also was next to the Ace Hotel, which also had security as well as like valet on the street. And then another thing that I've seen like on TikTok, on someone's commentary, which I thought was brilliant, was that having a 24-hour taco stand immediately makes the neighborhood safer. And so there also was one of those, and I think that that really keeps eyes on the street. It kind of keeps people in the area as well. And there were also times that I would see like more police and like guards just like kind of standing on that block and on that street. But also another thing to consider is that in these like really urban areas, especially like someone like me who's not from a very urban area, I mean, there is urban Honolulu, and I used to love to go out in Waikiki and everything, but it is just generally safer there, I would say. And so, I mean, for me, I had to learn that, walking like 1 block or 2 blocks over in really urban places could mean that you're in a totally different world and a totally different atmosphere. And a lot of times, like the very wealthy areas are just congruent to the very impoverished areas. And so I think that's something to consider, because you definitely want to stay safe. And I think that if you are walking, making sure that you're able to be aware of your surroundings and aren't like playing music in your ears or anything. I think those are all things to consider if you decide to live in these areas. However, it does have a lot of fun energy, and there is a bustling dynamic there that's like constantly evolving. It's very diverse, I would say, as well. I think that's one thing that I love about the area as well. And there is that mix of historic and modern. Yeah, I mean, the building that I was staying in was the perfect example of that. It had been redone and so was modern on the interior, but the exterior continued to display that historic costume design building. And then it also had historic windows that were preserved and were super beautiful and that I absolutely loved. And so there is that charm. And then also it's like a true urban center. So when I was staying in the fashion district, I was able to just go downstairs and I was in the heart of the fashion and jewelry districts, and I could walk around and shop, and I didn't have to commute 30 minutes to an hour. I was just there. And so that really is a huge benefit if you are working. But also I have noticed that, and in that area in particular, I noticed that there are a lot of more like retirees or people who need more assistance with living. So I would say that yes, if you need delivery, I can still get delivery here, but the amount of options are going to be limited in comparison to downtown LA. And so if you need a lot of help, I think that downtown is a great choice for that reason. So I mentioned what I love. They also have the best food scene, I would say, downtown or generally in any area. But also like the arts district has really started to have a lot of nicer restaurants pop up, and they've been redeveloping and have really great galleries there as well. So yes, there's like a mix of things to do and to see. I think that's the fun thing about DTLA too. There are so many different neighborhoods just within downtown. Like I mentioned, the Arts District, Little Tokyo, the Grand Central and Broadway area, the Theater District, the Bunker Hill area with the concert hall, and the different museums like the Broad, MoCA. So there's a lot to do if you love art, if you love culture, if you love music and events and going out to eat. I think that there's a lot of fun things to do still, even though, it's not what it was before COVID. I think that there still is an amazing culture and food scene, although it can start to feel overwhelming and can be very like loud. But it is perfect for city dwellers, for those who love walking, who love, unique food and a vibrant nightlife. So the next neighborhood that I wanted to feature is Beachwood Canyon, and that is in the Hollywood Hills area. And this is like the area that has like a straight view of the Hollywood sign, and it's super cute, has a lot of historic charm to it as well. It's kind of tucked away, although it is not too far from Hollywood. It has kind of a suburban and quiet feel to it. And it's like very residential and has like unique character to it. What I love is, you know, the sense of history and like the winding roads and the beautiful homes and architecture, as well as like the view of the Hollywood sign. Honestly, it's an iconic view, and I think that for a lot of people who move to LA from other places or who dream of living in LA or coming to LA, I think that is just like a fun manifestation. And yes, it does have this like quaint community feel as well, and is pretty clean for the Hollywood area. It is a little dusty though, I would say. A few people remarked on that. There is a cute Beachwood like cafe that I thought was fun, and I think there's just like a general serene and picturesque atmosphere. But I will say that one thing was coming from downtown and going there, I did need to get a car, and so I did end up renting a car while I was staying at like the Airbnb in that location, just because it was kind of far even from the cafe. It was like maybe like a mile. I was staying like maybe a mile from the cafe. And so I realized that I was going to need a car to get around Hollywood. And so that's another consideration. It's not really a walkable neighborhood, but it is super cute. Okay, so that is pretty much all that I had. If you have any questions, please comment below. But I just want to kind of leave you with some tips for exploring LA neighborhoods. You know, Los Angeles is vast and it's diverse, and each neighborhood truly has its own personality, and I do feel like that can be such a benefit because I feel like there's a neighborhood for everyone. And also, if you ever start to feel like you're getting bored, you can always move neighborhoods, and I know those kind of people who have literally lived like everywhere in LA. I suggest taking your time to explore on foot where possible to really soak in the neighborhood and how it feels, especially like for the girlies who want to make sure that they feel safe. I also think that you want to kind of, if you do drive, think about traffic and think about your commute if you have one, because that is one thing that people really complain a lot about when it comes to LA is traffic and parking and driving. I actually, since moving here 2 years ago, do not have a car and do not drive, and you know, with Uber and everything, that has been a game changer as well. So I think that, you know, times are evolving, but there are definitely moments when I think that it would be so much more convenient for me to have a car. But I also don't have the headache of maintaining a car, or and especially for the girlies, that can be a lot. So that is another consideration. But yes, I know that the best way to find your perfect LA neighborhood is to visit and to experience the daily life for yourself. So even if you don't live in Los Angeles right now or don't live in California, even if you can like come out here to feel it out for a vacation or for a trip, business trip, I think that's a great idea. I actually did that when I came out here and scoped out those other neighborhoods that I shared about with you in 2022 before I moved here in 2023, about like over a year later. So I think that's an awesome way to kind of dip your toe in and see if you would feel comfortable there. I have kind of been in the practice of that, honestly, even spending a summer in a place, if you can find like a clerkship or an internship if you're young enough, that's something that I've done. And so, I mean, yeah, kind of the vacation and then spending a month or spending a summer and then making the full move, because it is a lot to move, especially if you're not from the state or from the area. But even if you are, it can be a huge undertaking to move, and not everyone is comfortable with the process or is as streamlined. So I hope that this video can help you make an informed decision that you feel good about. So which of these LA neighborhoods calls out to you? Or do you have a favorite spot in Los Angeles or neighborhood that I did not mention? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more vlogs about Pasadena, LA, and beyond.